Okay, what are the three types of yeast available? Commercial yeast, the fresh yeast, it's dry, and active dry. So fresh, active, and instant. Okay. So instant you can throw it right into the flour mix, and then active dry, which we're using, you can dissolve in water. It says on the package though, you just throw it in. Yeah. If you're eating and you're eating it like 10, 12 minutes, eventually it'll come. Okay. Yeast, we want to be careful with temperature, right? And fermentation. What's fermentation? Yeast. What's fermentation? Okay. Yes, so alcohol. So the yeast, living organism, feeds on the what? Sugars. Flour, right? Where do sugars come from? Enzymatic process, right? Of converting starch into sugar. Enzymes do that. Add sugar to your recipe, honey, some sugar to speed up the process of fermentation. Right? When there is natural sugars on starch, there's going to be unlocked kind of thing. So yeah, so the yeast eats sugars, and then we have carbon dioxide gas and alcohol. Okay. Again, time over 10% temperature, slow fermentation, long fermentation, and go. Alright. Okay. Okay, talking about yeast dough, what are the two main types of, or three main types of doughs? Yeast doughs. Categorization of yeast doughs. Bean dough, rich dough, rolled in, what's another name for rolled in dough? Laminated. Okay, what's some examples of laminated yeast doughs? What's a rolled in or laminated dough that does not have yeast? Upfish. Very good. Very good. Good. Okay, so then we get into mixing methods. So there's three main mixing methods we want to know. Bread. So what are they? Which mixing method are we doing? The mixing method are doing different things, right? The first one I showed you. Or less straight dough. Okay, so think of it as a straightforward process, think of straight dough. Okay? Okay, what are the other two? Okay, one's modified straight dough, and the other one is cooked sour or sponge. Okay, so straight dough, modified straight dough, and sponge. Sponge implies we make real. People that certainly think that they get a recipe, that recipe calls me foolish. That's just a sponge, it's a Frito. Right, when you guys went to San Francisco, California, sourdough, right? You use the sourdough starter, and that's kind of going to go on its own. You dissolve that with water and you use it. So that's the sponge method, right? So straight dough, modified straight dough, right? Okay, 12 steps. Let's see if we remember the 12 steps of baking. What's step number 1? Scaling. Yes. Okay, what's important about scaling? Key points. Accuracy is what? Accuracy in weights, right? And what else? Correct ingredients, yes, because any white products are elements. Right? Okay. Good. Mixing, what are some of the, just do the answer, what are the steps of mixing? So 2 cents for mixing to grind over time. So first step, we're just gravely greasing the iron. Okay, we're going to check for the hydration of our dough. Right, and the second stage will be what? Sifting it out. Right? Okay, so warming the dough, and then cooking the dough. That's why we mix it on speed 1 for a couple minutes. Just warm the dough. And then we change it to speed 2 to 5. Warming the dough and then find that the dough is a little dry, warming it, you can always adjust the hydration. Right? Okay. After mixing comes what? Nope. Start with the what it costs to be buying and what? Bulk fermentation. This is a big dose of right? So the key is you're making a big batch of dough, right? We ferment that, and then we continue to send to the bread, right? We don't make little pieces of dough, right? So think about with bulk, big dough for bulk, right? Okay, step 4, after bulk fermentation is done, 4 more. You guys have what? So, what happens when it's sitting in the fridge overnight? Fermenting slowly. Okay? What's it gonna look like tomorrow morning after it's done fermenting? It's gonna be bigger, it's gonna be double in size. Right? So then what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to the fridge. We're gonna punch it, or fold it, or degas it. Okay? Equalize the temperature, equalize the gas. I'll show you tomorrow. I'm going to push all the air out. I just want to sort of push the excess air, the excess energy. Okay, good. Then after we punch it down, we mentioned we portion it, divide it, right? Depending on the recipe. Okay. Good. After we portion and divide, next step, step 6. Okay, so pre-shaping around it. So we usually make little small balls. Well, sometimes it's ovals, and sometimes we don't pre-shape it at all. It depends on the formula. Okay, so we pre-shaped it, so we work the dough, and then once we work the dough, we want to what? Yes, on a graph it's called benching, or it's a bench. This is the bench. It's wooden versus stainless steel cup. Okay, so you get a good bench rest. Good. And then we have what other benching? So we make up the depending. And that depends on the recipe as well. Sometimes you just form it into a rule, a little bun, and that's pretty much good to go. So usually benching and make it depending. Sometimes it's a free-form shape like a bun or a baguette. Sometimes it's going to focaccia is going to go to a sheet pan, soft roll, or pan roast going to go to a bread pan, obviously. Because it depends on the recipe. Okay, and then we have proofing, right? And then we have baking. Now, something in between proofing and baking would be finishing techniques. Okay, so I've done some things like slashing the dough before we bake it, garnishing the bread. I see a lot of recipes say, okay, pan bread to brush with egg wash, brush with sesame seeds, right? And then we bake, right? So don't miss the finishing step. I like to do the finishing kind of like halfway through the proofing. I try to be very careful on the overproof my product. So I'll take it out of the proofer like halfway, and then I'll kind of do the finishing techniques, and it needs a little bit more time. I always go back to the proofer. Usually by the time I finish the finishing techniques, it's still rising as I'm making the dough. that takes you to go. You just don't want to be like taking it out and then doing the finishing techniques and then realizing it's not overproofed. I don't like to finish it too early before I put the proofers. Like I said, I kind of give it a proof, take it out, do the finishing techniques, and then assess it. Okay, does it need more time or is it pretty much good to go? Because again, you can proof a roof temperature a little slower, or depending on how hot it is when we're in June now. So, it's a bit kind of warm in there. So things will be improved quickly at room temperature. Okay. Depending on the temperature. Okay, and then we got the cooling temperature. Right? So there's a lot of information. That's why we're going to read it, please, study it. What are the attachments called for the mixer? Anyone? Paddle, wick, or wire wick, or wick extruder, and a dough. So both sometimes it's dough arm, but like I said, they have these planetary mixers that have like they glue it again, and those ones obviously are the dough arm kind of thing. Dough arm. Okay, good. Great. What are some quality standards looking for with like breads or baked goods in general? Quality standards. With crust, we want to know the next crust. Crust gives us structure. So you get a thin crust or get a thin crust. It depends on how long you let it bake for. If it's too thick, that'd be too hard to eat. If it's too thin, it might not have great structure and it might collapse something. So you want to have not too thick, not too thin. Crust. Good. What else? The crumb and the texture, yeah, for sure. Once you cool down, add it, yeah, that's the texture of the crumb for sure. What else? What about the shape? Shape, how it looks, matters. Bread, we get all these beautiful shapes. They look like they're nice shapes. They're not nice shapes, right? So shape matters. Okay, color, similar to the crust, but also just because something brown on top does not mean it's cooked in the middle, right? Like when you make a fritter roast, again, fritter roast, oh, they're golden brown and delicious, and then you take them out of the oven, you cool them down, and it's flat like a pancake, right? Because you don't have a proper crust. So color does not mean crust. Does that make sense? In Europe, they bake things quite dark, called the European brown. And from the North side, you might say, oh, this is burns, right? But no, it's European brown. It actually has a nice crust. So you see a lot of artisan bakeries here or America trying to mimic that sort of that nice dark. If you want to have a nice thick crust, you have a nice texture and structure, then you have to leave it a little bit longer, and then it gets a little bit darker, right? So you get a watch your temperature of the oven. It's not a thick crust, you just drop the temperature down a little bit. So be careful. Get that nice crust. It might look like dark inside the oven when you take it out. Usually it's a little bit lighter as well. Don't be afraid to make your product a little bit longer. Don't be afraid to ask. That defect color on this. That's a great question. Let's take a look. If that's something you kind of just learn by doing it, right? So just ask that question. Okay, so it's got shape, color, crumb, crust, texture, taste. Yes, thank you very much. Taste matters, right? So you add too much salt, not enough salt. Maybe you got a specialty bread like with garnishes inside. You got like chicken garnishes. Too much herbs and then the passion bread. These are right. Okay, good. The traditional French shapes for bread. What do we call it? Traditional. There's three shapes. French bread, traditionally, or different shapes. Good. Say again. Very good. Those are just like submarine torpedo shape, right? There's roule, yeah. Similar to balls, should be easy to remember. Roule. Maybe one woolly. Wool. Right? Okay. And what else? My favorite one. So the roule is the European football shape. And the last one is American football shape. What's the name? Starts with B. So Batard. Batard is the American football shape. Does anyone know what that translates to in French? Faster. I don't know why. That's the translation. It's the French. Okay. So the rule of Batard, and again, these, okay, those are the traditional sort of artisan bread French shapes, right? So read the book and look at some of the different methods, buttons, or loaves, or baguettes, right, or large rules, right? We got some of these Benetton baskets. Look, these. Ooh, that's hard. Baguettes. Benetton. So here's sort of like a Batard shape. You can shape your loaf kind of a football shape. You can put it upside down. You can adjust this flour. Put it upside down into your Benetton basket. Cover the top like baby Moses. Okay? And then you proof it in the basket, don't overproof it, and then you flip it upside down. I want to do some more terminology. So this is called a peel. Okay? Pizza peel. We also have a ginormous baguette peel.
Wow.
So oh my gosh. On your Batard, on your peel, carefully remove it, and you can slash it, right? And then you put it in, and we pull back. Slide it off the peel. So you do more artisan style bread, Batard. Okay? That's available, so we can play around with some different shapes, right? I lived in France. We did a little tour of an old mill, Moulin. Okay, the flour mill, the water wheel and all that. I made a bread butterfly. That was my shape. All my home state managed to put it on the wall. Bread butterfly. Anyway, so lots of different shapes. You can play around with bread. Try to learn some of the traditional shapes. If you want to play around with some different shapes, there's lots in your book. Okay, so review those two chapters we went through today, then maybe read the cookie chapter. So we'll try to get the rest done in the morning. I'll demonstrate the mega methods, then I'll probably get you to make the rest of the mega methods, and then we're going to prove them together, and then take them off, and should finish your methods. All that, so kind of try to do things a bit together tomorrow, and then we'll transition to the cookies. I'll probably need to help you scale cookies, because once I show you how I want you to scale things, then you should be able to replicate what I'm teaching, right? That's the goal. Alright, so we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to scale things tomorrow. A lot of the cookies we're using the proving method. For something you do have to scale separately, just really depends on the rest. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to be like data. Okay. We'll be back in here tomorrow. I'm going to tools again. We don't have some great tools. I may send you some library. It's really bad.